We've all stood at the edge of something, a career, a decision, or perhaps just a shoreline. But there's a particular kind of edge that exists at the westernmost tip of Europe. It's where the solid, reliable granite of the continent finally gives way to the deep, unpredictable Atlantic. I've often felt that we as Canadians have a natural affinity for these places where the land meets the water with such force and beauty. I'm Gordon Dreger, and I want to invite you to join us on a journey to a place that redefined the world's map. For a long time, I had my reservations about classic Portugal trips, the ones that rush you through the Algarve or leave you in a crowded Lisbon square on a single afternoon. To truly understand this country, we have to look north to its roots and then cast our eyes 1,000 miles out to sea. This isn't just a tour. It's an invitation to settle into the rhythm of the Portuenses, to breathe the sulfurous air of an active volcano, and to share a glass of tawny in the very place where the vines struggle through the rock. We're going to take our time, we're going to look for the stories that are written in the stone and the steam, and we're going to have fun with our wheel and anchor friends. Our path follows a deliberate transition from the ancient granite-hewn city of Porto to the spiritual cradle of the Minho, through those fabled terraces of the Douro Valley, and finally across the Atlantic to the island of São Miguel. We begin in Porto, where we'll spend 5 nights establishing a home base in the theater district. And from here, we branch out to Guimarães and Braga, the places where Portugal was truly born, before we then head east. We'll transition up to the Douro Valley, following the river as it winds through hillsides of schist and vine. This is a landscape of unhurried speed, where the geography itself dictates a slower pace. Finally, a domestic flight brings us to the Azores. We'll settle into the Furnas Valley, a landscape of steaming vents and lush gardens, before concluding in the nautical center of Ponta Delgada. It's a transition from the industrial and imperial history of the coast to the raw Jurassic vitality of the mid-Atlantic. But let's go back to the start, which is in Porto, or Oporto if you're feeling formal, though the Portuenses simply call it the city. It's a place of quietly intoxicating layers, where every cobbled lane seems to tumble toward the Douro River. The heart of Porto is found in its stone. In fact, we'll spend a morning at the São Bento railway station, but not waiting for a train. We'll stand in the entrance hall, surrounded by 20,000 azulejo tiles that transform a working station into a massive history lesson. You'll see the blue and white murals depicting the Battle of Valdevez and the arrival of King John I, all captured in tin-glazed ceramic by Jorge Colacho. There's a particular stillness in that hall, despite the morning commuters, a sense of standing still in the face of so much narrative weight. We'll wander through the Ribeira district, a UNESCO World Heritage Site where the facades are a picturesque labyrinth of iron balconies and drying clothes. We'll cross the Dom Luis I Bridge, designed by a student of Gustave Eiffel, and look back at the city as the sunset paints the sky with magical colors. Across the river in Gaia, we'll enter the cool, damp silence of the port wine cellars. The air here is heavy with the scent of caramel, candied walnuts, and dried orange peel, the intoxicating aroma of wine that has spent decades in oak. To understand the Portuguese spirit, we must travel north into the Minho region. We'll visit Guimarães, a city that feels like a living museum. The residents here are fiercely proud of their heritage. They'll point to the 10th century castle ruins and the medieval walls, where the inscription reads, "Portugal was born here." We'll walk through those walls together, looking out over Mount Peña as a golden hour light hits the ancient stone. There's a specific sweetness to Guimarães that we simply must taste. We'll visit a local pastry shop to try the Jesuita, a 100-year-old recipe of puff pastry and egg filling topped with a hard meringue. It's a connection to the conventional baking traditions that have sustained this region for centuries. In nearby Braga, sometimes referred to as the Portuguese Rome, the atmosphere shifts toward the spiritual. We'll visit the Bom Jesus do Monte, a sanctuary that is a World Heritage Monument. We'll see the monumental Baroque stairway that climbs the hillside, a zigzag of white granite and fountains that represent the 5 senses. For the people who live here, this is a triangle of faith that connects the city to the heavens. We'll share a traditional lunch here, perhaps trying the bacalhau à Braga, fried cod served with caramelized onions and fried potato slices, paired with a crisp, slightly effervescent vinho verde. Leaving the cities behind, we'll move into the Douro Valley, the oldest demarcated wine region in the world. This is a landscape of solitary grandeur, where the hillsides are carved into thousands of schist terraces that descend gracefully toward the river. The vines here don't just grow, they struggle. To survive the heat of the Douro summers, they must dig their roots deep into the cracks of the metamorphic rock to find any lingering moisture. It is a profound testament to the resilience of the land and the people who have tended it for centuries. We'll spend 3 nights at a hilltop sanctuary located at the confluence of the Douro and Tedo rivers. It is a place designed for tranquility and magnificent scenery, where you can stroll through olive and almond groves as the evening mist settles over the water. Depending on when we visit, the valley offers a different kind of magic. In the spring, you'll see the fresh lime green shoots of the new vines awakening against the gray stone. Later in the year, the landscape shifts into a tapestry of deep golds and burnt oranges. Regardless of the month, the soul of the Douro is found in its quintas, the historic wine estates that dot the hillsides. We'll share a family-hosted lunch at one of these small estates, tasting luscious ports and velvety reds that bear the unmistakable stamp of this unique terroir. We'll learn about the traditional methods that define this region, such as the use of stone lagares, where grapes are still sometimes trodden by bare feet to ensure that the juice is extracted with absolute precision. It's an unhurried experience that allows us to understand the liquid history of the valley, one glass at a time. After the terraced vineyards and granite of the interior, we'll head back to Lisbon and hop a short flight across the Atlantic to São Miguel. On arrival, we'll head directly to the Furnas Valley, a landscape that feels Jurassic in its green intensity. As we pass the village entrance, you'll be met by the Furnas smell. And of course, if you've visited a geothermal area before, you'll recognize the sharp, earthy aroma of sulfur that tells you the earth here is very much alive. Our home here is the Terra Nostra Garden Hotel, an iconic sanctuary that has been a haven of hospitality since 1935 and a regular haunt of Wheel and Anchor. We'll have unlimited access to the 200-year-old botanical garden and its world-famous thermal pool. Imagine sinking into the iron-rich brownish waters naturally heated by the volcano to a steady 40 degrees Celsius. It is a natural spa effect that rejuvenates the skin and takes away every modern worry. Here, we'll also get to witness the ritual of the cozido. We'll walk out to the calderas, where large pots filled with meat and vegetables are lowered into holes dug into the steaming earth. There's no water added, no fire, just the geothermal heat of the volcano slow cooking the meal for 6 hours. We'll see the pots being unearthed, emerging from the ground, shrouded in intense vapors, before we sit down to share this stew of the earth ourselves. For our final days, we'll move toward the coast to the capital of Ponta Delgada, though in reality, it feels much more like a refined big town than a bustling metropolis. The Atlantic is never far from our thoughts here. It is the mother of water that dictates the pace and the history of the entire archipelago. First, we'll venture to Sete Cidades, a massive volcanic crater that holds the famous twin lakes, one a deep shimmering blue and the other a vibrant green. As we stand at the Vista Dore, or the King's View, we'll hear a local legend of a princess and a shepherd whose tears of forbidden love supposedly formed these waters. It's a place of immense quiet where the edge of the crater frames a landscape that feels almost prehistoric. Our exploration of the island will also take in the northern coast, where we'll visit the Guariana tea plantation, the only one of its kind in Europe. We'll walk the emerald tea terraces that ripple down toward the ocean and step inside the factory to see antique machines from the 1800s still whirring away in the rolling room. There's something deeply grounding about finishing the afternoon with a cup of fresh green tea, looking out over the same Atlantic horizon that has greeted the islanders for generations. Before we conclude our journey, we'll also seek out the island's botanical and sensory surprises, from the traditional pineapple greenhouses where the fruit grows in a uniquely sweet and slow-ripened way, to a visit at a world-renowned gin library. Here, amidst a collection of thousands of bottles, we'll toast to our journey with spirits infused with Azorean botanicals, a final sophisticated nod to what seems like the edge of the world before we head home. Now, traveling to the edge of the world shouldn't be a frantic experience. At Wheel and Anchor, we believe the best travel isn't found on a list of monuments, but in the shared laughter over a meal with new travel friends, or the quiet conversation as the sun sets over a volcanic lagoon. We handle the complexities, the internal flights, the transfers, and the logistics, so you have the freedom to simply be present. You'll be joined by a community of like-minded Canadians who share your curiosity and your preference for travel that is refined, unhurried, and a whole lot of fun. If you're ready to experience the quiet majesty of the Douro and the volcanic soul of the Azores alongside a group of curious, like-minded Canadians, I'd love to have you with us. You can find all the specifics of our route and our various home bases by downloading the full e-brochure below. Once again, I'm Gordon Dreger, and I look forward to sharing a glass of port and a few great stories with you soon.